And now we're to kick off as Huddersfield Town take on West Ham United. West Ham, of course, hoping for a repeat of last season's victory over Huddersfield. The team lineups are out just to rattle through the West Ham one. It's unchanged from the win at Burnley, which means we've got Fabianski in goal, a back four, Zabaleta, Diop, Balbuena and Cresswell. Rice sitting in front of them with Obiang and Snodgrass in front of him. Then Diangana and Anderson out wide with Arnautovic leading the front. Tom, no surprises there?
No surprises there from last week. It was a solid performance. I think obviously the only thing we have to address is if we score a goal, let's learn how to not concede within 5 minutes after it's happened. But no, that side, especially going forward last week, was perfect, and I'm glad to see that it's unchanged.
Gonzo, is there a little bit of pressure on Anderson today? Well, he sort of answered a few questions last week with his performances. The question changed now to, you've done it once, can you be a bit more consistent now?
Yeah, I guess the right kind of pressure, though, rather than pressure because he's been rubbish. He's put the pressure on himself, which is the right stuff. And what you want, and from what Pellegrini has been saying in his press conference, there's been a bit of a spring in his step with Anderson in training this week. So maybe he's just a confidence player. So hopefully he doesn't feel the pressure. He actually feels the confidence that he's instilled in himself. And he decides to stamp his authority on the game.
Tom, one thing we discussed in the preview was that we have no midfielder on the bench. Once again, Pellegrini stuck with the same bench. Adrian, Fredericks, Masuaku, Hernandez, Ogbonna, Perez and Antonio. So no Connor Coventry. He's gone with the senior players. Are you worried that there's no cover for centre midfield, or do you think it's just a case of shuffling the pack about if we need to replace one of the three?
Well, I mean, we're just obviously going to have to shuffle the pack about. It highlights our need for signing a centre midfielder in January, especially. And obviously this is the case. I don't think we would have, sort of expected injuries like, with Wilshere or Sanchez. So, we're short-handed. We've got, Snodgrass playing in centre mid, which isn't his natural position either. So we're already shuffling about. So, it's probably just going to have to be a case of switching it on the fly if the situation presents itself or need itself. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things that happens in football. But you would say that we can't wait for Noble to get back from injury because we are incredibly short in that centre midfield position at the minute.
Gonzo, is there anywhere you consider to be if there's a Huddersfield fan tuning in on this one, what would you consider to be our weakness if there is one for today's lineup?
Well, I would have said central midfield, but I think Snodgrass has gone in there really well. And I think, the longer Rice plays in central midfield, the more you start to look at him as a central midfielder as opposed to a central defender. So I think with those guys in there and Obiang as well, as long as he plays well, then that's relatively solid in there. I would possibly say in defence from crosses maybe, but we, don't be fooled. We've got two really, really good centre-backs. So I like to feel there's not a whole lot of weakness in the West Ham team, particularly that lineup. Possibly on the bench if they were going to look for anything. If we do sustain an injury, then we might have a problem in one or two key areas.
The Huddersfield 11, apologies for pronunciations on one or two of their players. I am not an expert in Huddersfield Town. And they've got Lossie in goal. They're playing a back three with Kongolo, Schindler and Zanka. Moy, Billing and Hogg, the three in the centre midfield with the wing-backs of Lowe and Hadar Gonjaz, or how he pronounced that right, wing-back's name. They've got Alex Pritchard sitting just in behind Mooney. Tom, what do you make of the Huddersfield 11? Is there anything there that stands out as a threat to West Ham?
There's a few positions, I guess. I always thought that that Terence Kongolo has always the couple of times I've watched him, he's a big lad. He looks quite useful back there. And I know Matthias Jorgensen's a pretty big lad from watching him at the World Cup as well in the summer. So they've got three big centre halves, which will be an interesting battle with Arnie up top. And I think Aaron Moy is obviously, is probably their best playmaker in a way in terms of he can probably pick that pass or, the crossfield ball or a diagonal ball to open up a bit of space somewhere. Can score a good free kick. He's got a good strike on him himself. He's always probably going to be dangerous. And Alex Pritchard, I thought maybe was somebody as well that may have the potential to unlock our defence. I don't know, because I haven't watched too much of Huddersfield this season. But it's more for me the battle that Arnautovic will have. I think with the three centre halves and how he will combat that, because as I said, I think there's some pretty big three units back there.
Gonzo, what about yourself? Is there anything that worries you there? I could be wrong, but I think they're unchanged from the side that beat Fulham on Monday night.
Well, if they are planning to mark Arnautovic with 3 centre-halves, they're banging trouble because they're going to be short of numbers elsewhere on the pitch, which sounds like it's going to be wide areas. So they're going to be in a bit of trouble there if they think we'll be doubled up on them down from wide. If they think the balls are just going to be hoofed up in the air for Arnautovic to head in, they're going to be very much mistaken because there'll be balls coming from all over the place. Really, I mean, I've got to put it into perspective. Yes, I watched him against Fulham the other day, as we discussed, but the two most times I've seen Huddersfield play have been against West Ham, and last season I just thought they were truly awful. So I'm not too worried about it. I do think this is an opportunity, and you alluded to it in the preview that they will battle harder, and I'm sure they will. I'm absolutely sure they will. But yeah, I mean, if what Tom says is true there, and I'm not aware of that, they're going to occupy 3 centre halves, going to occupy 1 player and an Arnautovic. They're going to be in a lot of trouble because that is going to give space to Anderson and to Diangana particularly.
Does it not bother you, Gonzo, that the last time, from my memory, we came up against a back 3/5 was Brighton away, and they did exactly what they needed to do. They shut us out completely, and we had no space whatsoever. This is a replica of their formation.
Yes and no. I was there. We were well on top, particularly in the second half in that game. We did carve out opportunities. There was a lot of, I mean, he missed an open goal on Arnautovic in there, and they made a lot of last-ditch tackles to stop us getting it. You can't continue to make last-ditch tackles time and time again. And we're going to have a lot of possession today. I'm not overly concerned. I'm concerned, and I shouldn't be overly concerned. We should have a little spring in our step. We should be confident. We had a good result against Burnley. I guess the question is, are Burnley better or worse than Huddersfield? We'll find out today.
Tom, are you confident for this one? You've seen the lineups now. What are you feeling?
Well, I think as a West Ham fan, you learn never to look past your opposition. I think this year has been a prime example of that, not to look past the next team, because we did come unstuck against Brighton, but we put a performance in against Burnley. So I'm taking it in a game-to-game basis at the minute. And on paper, yes, we should. It will be a tough game. Like Gonzo said, they're going to work hard. You expect teams that are fighting in and around the bottom to work hard. I just think the issue that we have at the minute is that we just struggle to defend a lead if we go one up. And I think that's what's bothering me, is that when push comes to shove, are we going to, at set pieces be picking up our men, or is it just, it's little sloppy goals that we're conceding at the minute that could be, erased and could be worked out. And I think they will do eventually, but I do think we will have enough for Huddersfield today, but I do see them scoring, and I do think it will be a very tough game. I think whoever's willing to put the extra half a yard in, without Anderson getting back on defence, or just little things, just little bits, a little extra mile is what's going to help beat a team like Huddersfield that will, clearly be grafting for a hard win today.
Tom, just quickly, is this a must-win game? Not because of where we are in the league, but we've got aspirations to finish in the top 10. Is this a team we should be aiming to get 6 points out of?
100%. I think it's, we've got some easy fixtures, bar the Man City game next week or after the international break, whenever it is. That's obviously going to be, a write-off. But these are the games that we need to be picking up points, our bread and butter games, if you like. And, we've come through the tough games at the start of the season, so now we need to be building on that, especially after a good performance last week. We've blown hot and cold every other week. Now's the time to really start building on that. And I hope every time I've thought we're going to get 3 points, we've lost this season. So I hope that we have enough for Huddersfield today.
If you're on Twitter and you fancy a chance of winning a West Ham shirt or a £50 gift card, stick around a little minute. Gonzo, in the preview, I predict a 2-0 West Ham win. I'm going to stick with that. You predict a 3-0 West Ham win. Are you sticking with that?
Yeah, I think so. I've not seen anything to change my mind. If anything was going to change my mind, it would have been one of our bigger players being sidelined through injury. But they're all fit. They're all starting, and we've got the confidence of a win behind us. And also we're starting on a run of better games following quite a tricky start in terms of the fixture list. So I'm going to stick with 3-0.
Tom, would you care to give me your score prediction?
Yes, I'm going to say 2-1. I know they don't score a lot of goals at home, but I just think that we will concede today at one point or another. And it's probably a good job that Huddersfield won the other day, because could you imagine if they hadn't have won coming into this weekend and it was playing against us, you would have known that they were going to beat us. So no, I'm going to say 2-1. I think we will just have enough for them.
Our Betway charity bet is a massive 14-1 with 300 quid. 700 quid heading to charity if it wins. Got West Ham United to win, Marco Arnautovic to score at any time, and Jonathan Hogg, the Huddersfield captain, pick up a yellow card. It'd be interesting to see if Robert Snodgrass gets a booking today. He's on 4 yellow cards, and if he was to pick up a booking for this one, he misses the Man City game. but Mark Noble is back. So it would be interesting to see if there's a sort of tactical analysis applied to this. So he's back for the easier run of fixtures, as Gonzo alludes to, the likes of Cardiff just round the corner. Be an interesting midfield battle. West Ham won at Huddersfield last season, but they only had 2 centre midfielders while we had our 3. But this time they've gone with 3 versus 3 in the middle of the park. On Twitter, if you're on Twitter, go to @hammers_chat, and we've got a competition running for the next half hour or so. When we will close it, all you have to do is retweet and follow the tweet. I'll pin it to the Twitter account so you can find it easily. If West Ham win 2-0 and Dean Ganna scores the first goal, one of you that retweets that tweet will be winning a West Ham shirt or a £50 gift card. You choose which one you would like. But that's been Gonzo, that's been Tom, I've been Gio. Me and Gonzo will be back with Charlie straight after the match here on the Hammers YouTube channel. Subscribe if you're new around here. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll be back in an hour and a half celebrating 3 points for West Ham. Come on, you